Hello everybody and Jessica and welcome back to Symphogear. There was a little bit of a break. I had a bit of a hard time in the past week, but now we're back with Symphogear Axis episode 3. Uh, I'm starting the recording without the ring light and the light bar because if I turn them on, this fella here doesn't really glow particularly much, but I might turn them on later on. It's certainly easier for me to capture my face for the thumbnail if everything is lit up correctly. But yeah, today is the season. Well, it's the 29th, so not quite yet. But Halloween nears, and that means, of course, everywhere there is plenty of Christmas decorations and Christmas sweets and stuff like that, because of course. But yeah, regardless of the time, today we're watching Symphogear. In the previous episode, we fought the big snake dragon thing, and of course Hibiki came in to save the day and punched that snake through dimensions. I don't know what exactly is the mechanism of the immortality and invulnerability of that snake, but I have a feeling it has to do with like parallel versions of that monster converging into one, so that when you kill one of them, the other ones just take its place, and assuming there is an infinite number of parallel timelines, parallel dimensions. That snake has infinite amount of lives, but of course Hibiki punches through reason, punches through dimensions, goes against all odds, and kills that snake in a single punch. Because it's Hibiki. And we wouldn't have it any other way, let's be honest. I wonder if it's actually gonna be explained though. Because sure, the cool factor of, oh yeah, Hibiki is able to punch that snake and kill it where nobody else was able to, but I wonder if there's some like actual explanation of like, I don't know, super high phonic gain that Hibiki has, or maybe her phonic gain stands in direct opposition to the wavelength that the snake emits, or whatever pseudo-scientific mumbo-jumbo bullshit. Or are we just supposed to take it at face value? I'm honestly fine with either, but I would like to hear an explanation regardless. If we don't get it, though, it's perfectly fine. Besides the fight, of course, our alchemists continue scheming, and they are trying to get that living, or at least humanoid symphogear, humanoid relic. Initially, I thought that it was one of the custodians because it looks otherworldly. She looks otherworldly, but perhaps she is just a living relic for some godforsaken weird ass reason. I don't know. Again, could go completely and utterly either way. Or maybe she's just a regular human taken over by a relic, the way Miku was taken over by Shan Haijing, or whatever the name of that relic was. Actually, I'm even gonna note it down. That the weird creature is really a human taken over. Frozen girl is a human controlled by a Gia. I have a feeling that might be the case. Especially since we now know that Symphogear, or I'm just gonna use a common term, I guess, battle armor, mystic battle armor, is not something that just music, that just relics can create, but also alchemy, because our alchemists have their own battle armor. I'm a little reluctant to call them Symphogears, but they might just be Symphogears. I don't know that. So perhaps that person has been overtaken and controlled by an alchemical gear. Alka gear. Alka gear. You know what? Symphogear or symphonic gear, Alka gear or alchemical gear. That works, right? Alka gear. Great, we have a name for that. So maybe she is controlled by an Alka gear, not by a Symphogear. That would be interesting. Another thing that's interesting is what the fuck do they need with her? They have the goal of amassing like 10,000 souls or whatever to resurrect their master or something along those lines. So why do they need her? Can she bring like some great calamity that will give them 10,000 souls in a snap? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe she's Thanos incarnate. And of course, one last thing that happened: fireworks. Excusez-moi? Who the fuck launches fireworks on 29th of the 10th month of the year? I forgot the name. But who the fuck launches fireworks today? It's not any holiday. Oh well. What was I? Right, and the one last thing that happened is Chris got reunited with that girl. Sarah was her name, something around that. I don't know. I'm just gonna call her. Well, I did want to call her a bitch, but she may not be. I mean, the first time she shows up, she has a huge issue with Chris that why did you save my brother from certain death? You shouldn't have saved him, apparently. Losing a limb is not preferable to dying in her eyes. I don't know what her deal is. She's completely irrational. She's completely. And she's bitchy about it. Like, she even says so herself that, yeah, I know you had to do that to save my brother's life, but why did you do that? What's her issue, lady? Right? So yeah, I have a feeling during the runtime of this season, we're going to meet we're going to see Chris's familial or past life relationships. In the previous episode, we solved the family issues for Tsubasa, kinda sorta. Her father kinda came around. We kinda sorta solved Hibiki's issue with her family. So maybe it's time for Chris. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. But I have a sneaking suspicion that's exactly what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen in today's episode, though, I don't know. On the first frame, I see Hibiki flying at Mach 3 towards something. So we're probably gonna get a moment of last time on Dragon Ball Z, Hibiki punched a snake through dimensions, and we're gonna continue from exactly where we left off. So now it's the time for me to crank up the lights. Ooh. See, it doesn't look that great with full lights on, but I look great with full lights on. So that's a trade-off, isn't it? Alright. Subs, gonna need them to follow along. Sound, I'm gonna need it to follow along. And support the channel if you want monetarily. Patreon, Throne, links in the description. Non-monetarily, if you don't want to spend any money, share my content, spread the word. It does help a lot. And with that out of the way, we can start watching episode 3 of Symphogear Axis in 3, 2, 1, go! Yep, Hibiki punching through all of the existences of this snake in a single punch. Bavarian Illuminati still cranks me up a little. Like, I know that Illuminati originate in Bavaria, and the name makes perfect sense, but it's kinda like, I don't know, calling someone, I don't fucking know, a group of berserks from Montenegro, like, why Montenegro? Yeah, I'm gonna get over it. Or maybe I won't. Who's to say? I love Hibiki's sports costume, by the way. the one she uses for her training. Also, I really want to see a spin-off that's like completely slice of life. Chris is a member of the not Kendo, not Kyudo, the one where they shoot bows club. Miku is at like cooking club and it's just school time shenanigans. Nothing bad ever happens. Or you know what? Make the villains into schoolyard bullies. Just completely lower the stakes, completely and utterly. That would be fun to see. And I still absolutely adore Maria's arm cannon. And this shot is great. And two masked people in the back. Oh, the school song. Been a while since we heard it. Oh, summer holidays. Or summer homework, rather. I mean, isn't that what she does every day? Probably not. Explain. Maybe they wouldn't have to stop you if you explained and if what your goal is actually beneficial for the world. Villains in this show are really averse to explaining, aren't they? Nobody, besides maybe Ver, tries to get the disaster squad on their side. Hmm. What other thing? We're understaffed, you need to wear Sympho gear as well? She has bad memories after the whole Shanghai Jing or whatever it's called business, so probably not. Okay, so she does look like a doll. An autoscorer. Gotcha. Oh, a gear from Antiquid Terra or whatever. I know that one. And she's activated. And it's just a helmet, not a part of her head. Interesting. Oh, she's in the opening with the triple ahoge. Alchemy is great. Adam's dead, probably. Or in a coma or something, and they're trying to amass the 10,000 souls to revive him. Something along those lines. That phone ain't connected. Oh, so it is Adam. Okay, the snake. Many have tried. Some have even succeeded, but only briefly. Is the plane gonna be shot down or something? How'd I know that? Yeah, time to henshin. I love the music here. Very ambient. And then it kicks into gear. It just fluently transitions into her battle song. I guess Maria doesn't transform because she doesn't have Linker. I love that little bit of strain in her voice as she was singing and swinging the sword. "1,000 Tears." Yeah, essentially. Both. What's the cargo though? Is it Intel technology something? This. Indeed. Yeah, Intel from Valverde. Yeah, the Tiki autoscorer. Right, German search for the paranormal during the Second World War. They were very much into the like runic magic and horoscopes and shit like that. Yep. So of course the battle will take place in Japan, as it always does. Oh, I thought there's uh, one of the alchemists just sitting somewhere on the rooftop and watching them. Chris Ex Machina, or rather, surprise Chris. No, no can do. No, you won't. You're just saying that. Yeah, exactly. That was the only moral and the only correct choice. Study night. No, I'm assuming on her birthday the world is gonna be ending and she won't be able to attend her own birthday party. So they're clearly hunting for them. No surprise, not even talking, nothing, just straight up henshining. That's cool. We're only getting, almost only getting full henshins this time around, aren't we? Usually we only get full henshins at like some very crucial moments, right? The first henshin in the season, then around the finale, maybe during some bigger battles. Then it's usually just a flash and boom, they're henshined. I guess seeing how they have 2 seasons to work with, they can let themselves take their time and they don't have to save time on full henshins. What's that? Looks like an enigma. A ooh. What's that effect? They've been transported into some pocket dimension? Yeah, seems so. We're fighting in space! Why not? At least you can breathe, though, so that's good. And they regrow. Because the rules of this dimension are set by the noise? Yep. Whatever that means. Yeah. If punching doesn't work, punch real fucking hard. If punching real fucking hard doesn't work, just punch harder. Okay, no screaming. Just straight up second henshin. And Ignite works perfectly fine. Yep. You can't keep up. You can't keep that up for particularly long. Yep, exactly. And also, it's only the third episode, and you're already using your trump card. So what next? Okay, so just destroy that, and you're good. Or just blow up the whole fucking place. That also works. Why? Oh, like triangulating. Gotcha. I thought those were grenades, and Chris is just gonna be like, I'm not gonna look for the center of it, I'm just gonna blow up the whole fucking place. That would work. Oh, there it is. I'm worried about Miku though. Just as a side note. Combined attack? It's an aircraft carrier! What the fuck? I know they could create like underneath of a plane, but this is a complete fucking aircraft carrier. Uh I fear for the finale. What are they gonna show in the finale? They're gonna take Grove Serum and grow to the size of a galaxy and fight motherfucking galaxy-sized god. I swear, That's how it's gonna end. Please do. No stress, but you kinda need that. Being. Ending. Miku. Some ley line crossing. Or something. Something. They really are just gonna fight God. I thought it's just a haha funny meme, but fighting God on a galactic scale. It wouldn't surprise me if that prediction turned green. Because if we're like triple connecting Symphogears to create an aircraft carrier, like a 3-stage rocket, essentially, where can you go from here? Right? How much more can you elevate that? The progression was like gear user, strong gear user, suicide song, XD form, X drive form, right? Then it was strong Symphogear user, ignite, X drive. Now it seems like by the time we hit episode 6, they're gonna be permanently in their X drive mode, and the scaling is gonna be completely out of whack. Now, mind you, it's not a con of it, right? I have nothing against that. I'm just wondering, where can they go from here? Are they gonna pull a trigger where we're fighting on a galactic scale with like fucking Gundams against planet-sized foes? Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I mean, it probably would, but at the same time, I would be like, oh yeah, I was expecting to be surprised, so I'm surprised, but being surprised is not a surprise. Oh boy. Okay, so now it's time to go through it again, shall we? Last time on Dragon Ball Z, punching through dimensions. OP, OP, OP. A Lydian song. Summer homework. And yeah, some talk about Fine. Let me go through it clearly again. Line by line. You bear what remains of Fine's legacy, the Symphogear. Indeed, they do. Opening humanity's future is beyond their power. Explain what it means to open humanity's future. Yeah, explain. Curse of Balal? Maybe. Taking control of the history? I guess, like, taking back all of the modifications that were made to human history or something along those lines. You know how history is a story that's written by the men who win the wars. How did it go in the Count of Monte Cristo song? History is a story written by the people who survive. Yeah, and the other verse was history is the story written by the men who win the wars. Something along those lines, and that holds true. So perhaps that is their goal, right? History has been modified. People nowadays don't know about the Curse of Belial. They don't know about like the beginning of man. They don't know about the Illuminati. So it's time to be open with that and bring that back to textbooks, essentially. But you can do that by like making a public proclamation, right? Get into all the media, all the displays and whatnot, and proclaim that, hey, this and this and this and this is actually the truth. And we have the proof to prove that it is. Everything you've believed so far was wrong. So perhaps that's another plan, because the solution of that seems very simple and doesn't involve playing around with god powers, so their plan is probably something else. Uh, Something to do with like timelines. I don't know. Finished watching Madoka Magica recently, and that kind of shifted my perspective a little. Changed a little how I think about things. Like immediately, my first thought when I saw in the previous episode when I saw Hibiki punch through that snake, it was like no big deal. It's just Hibiki. But now it immediately evokes association with like Madoka being not being the chosen one, but being like super powered for one reason or another, right? And maybe Hibiki, maybe there's something fucky-wacky going on with Hibiki. Maybe she's special somehow, not just because of her determination, not just because she can hold hands with others, but for some other reasons she's also super powerful and super special. Although she didn't show that when fighting Noise in that pocket dimension. So, I don't know. Perhaps fighting that snake was just a one off. Perhaps Hibiki's Symphogear is tuned specifically to punch creatures across all of the timelines they exist in. Maybe. I don't know. I have no clue. But there is some cosmic horror, not quite, but like dimensional tomfoolery going on, and I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that. I was super down for the finale of Madoka, even though it wasn't the finale that I would have liked. I loved it. And it seems like they're trying to pull similar dimensional tomfoolery, and I can't wait what exactly they're gonna pull here. Also, one more association that immediately jumped at me later on, but also kind of here with how they're summoning monsters and just watching, not even fighting or anything. Uh, just a random thought: Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers. How Lord Zed or her would send down a monster and then cast a spell to grow them. I don't know. It just popped into my mind for some reason. But yeah, one more thing I wanted to talk about regarding this moment. We have sacrificed more of our time and lives than you could comprehend to regain control of the future, and they are unwilling to explain. And I'm kinda taking issue with that. Just a little bit. Because we have a precedent in the form of FIS from season 2. 2? 2. Yeah, season 2. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit mixed up in the seasons. But yeah, we got a precedent with FIS. If they were to come straight to the disaster squad and say, hey, yo, we have proof that the moon is falling, can we like join our forces and do something about it? They would have. Like, I have no doubts they would have. Perhaps the higher ups wouldn't like that. Perhaps the leaders of the countries would want all those operations to be kept under wraps and all hush hush. But they would have just gone for the frontier and maybe used the frontier to push the thing out, or maybe get the data they needed to restart the moon, or some they would have figured something out, some covert operation that regular people are completely non privy to, but they would have helped and they would have solved the issue without people having to die, without property destruction, without the whole drama, without opening the Library of Babylon and bringing forth the monster that bit Hibiki's arm, whose name I forgot. But yeah, and this seems to be a similar kind of idea, kind of sorta, where they're like, I have no doubt that the motivations of those alchemists, of Cagliostro, Prelati, and um, and the third one, are like they're coming from a good place, right? They aren't doing that for power. They aren't doing that to rule the world. They aren't doing that to be heroes. They are doing that because they legitimately believe this is the correct thing to do. This is morally correct choice. This is what should be done. People deserve to have their history given back to them. People deserve to know the truth. Wait. I just got a random thought. And that even more solidifies my belief that the alchemists are in the right. Custodians. They hold custody of humans. Wasn't it mentioned somewhere that human evolution and human, like, societies and human everything was driven in some sort of way by custodians? Or am I conflating Madoka Magica and the incubators and the wishes being responsible for that? I might be conflating the two. But just a thought. Giving humanity their history back, meaning removing the custodians' influence over human history. So that whatever happens on Earth isn't driven by the custodians, it's driven by humans themselves, right? Giving humans control of how they make history. Not history as in the past, not like restoring the past, like, telling the truth about all the lies and whatnot, but giving humans power to create their own history. How do I even note that down? Saint Germain, that's her name. Ha 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 ha. Alchemist 3 fight for humanity against the custodians to give humans control over making their own history. Whew, that's a sentence and a half. Yeah, I have a feeling that might be the case. Or again, I might just be conflating that with Madoka. Either could be true. I don't know. Okay, let's continue. Did I have anything more to say here? Yeah, how if those alchemists perhaps were to say that, hey, yo, we really just want to help humanity because there are those big bad demigods who are controlling humans with the curse of Belial and whatnot, and we just want humanity to be free, right? Like, we're doing what we're doing because we must. If you have a better idea, like, we're willing to listen, right? Let's meet up at a cafe somewhere and discuss the plans. If you have a better plan, we might be willing to go with that. Sure. If you don't, we'll just continue as we were. And we'd rather you don't bother us, but if you do try to stop us, we're gonna have to fight back because ultimately what we're doing is for the benefit of humanity. Yeah, I have a feeling they should have done that. And maybe they will. Alchemist Trio and our main characters join forces in the finale of this season when custodians arrive at Earth again to take control directly or something, or milk humans for their emotions to prevent the heat death of universe, or some other plan of that sort. Plausible. Plausible. I'm gonna call them A3. Joins forces with West. Why did I write it that? With the they're called Song now, so I'm gonna use Song. A3 joins forces with Song. Wouldn't surprise me if that were to happen. It's maybe not a common trope, but it's common enough to be worth considering. That there are like our protagonists and our antagonists, and they're fighting against each other, but then there's some bigger threat appearing, and they realize that they never should have fought against each other because they were really against that big bad, not against each other, so they join forces and fight the big bad. Right? It's, again, not super common, but common enough to be worth considering. And I wonder if we're going there. Shut it off. Yeah, I mean, again, Chris has absolutely no reason to feel bad about what she did. Like, zero. Absolutely zero. She did the right thing. And if that girl has a problem with that, well, fuck her. Or maybe not. She seems crazy. Or you can always say, hey, my mistake. I can take that back and just kill your brother because that's what would have happened if I didn't shot his leg off. So if you'd rather have a dead brother, I can help. Right? I know that they wouldn't do that, but a man can dream. A man can dream, right? Uh, that looks like a fancy resort. Tiki is an autoscorer created to precisely record the movements of the planets on a star map. Why did she have to be an autoscorer though? Can't you just create like a box that does the same job? I'm not like bashing it because I like Tiki. I like her character, but it's just like a little bit extra, right? Creating a humanoid robot to wash your clothes, for example, manually, instead of just building a washer because you just want to be a little bit extra. Uh, yeah, recording movements of the planets on a star map. Deactivated to protect the secrets. Antikythera gear. That's an actual legit thing. Mm. Ah, god damn it. I'm gonna Google that real quick, just to get the deets. Antikythera mechanism. Indeed. Can I maybe... Boom. Antikythera mechanism. Ancient Greek hand-powered orrery. So a model of a solar system. And that's how it looks. It legit looks exactly like that. It's made of some gears and whatnot, and people aren't exactly fully sure how exactly it worked, and the level of complexity of it is like uncharacteristically high for the time, for like ancient Greece. And it was deemed to be, well, deemed or thought to be, people believe it to be like the very first proper mechanical computer. And there's plenty of theories around that, like, Atlantis, super advanced super highly advanced uh, fuck, not society, culture, super highly advanced culture, that maybe they build that, and that's a proof that civilizations much more advanced than ours existed before that, and perhaps humanity is much older than we believed, or maybe it was space aliens, maybe aliens left that behind, right? And plenty other beliefs like that, and there's Antikythera gear made with Lego. Cool. Some reproductions, the mechanism, more reproductions, and the actual photo. And that matches, more or less. But yeah, Antikythera gear, like legit thing that existed and exists, and whose purpose is thought to be an astrolabium, essentially, but nobody's quite sure how it came to be, where it came to be, who made it, how did they make it. And yeah, with the Antikythera gear, you can bring her back to life, and this is the Zodiac. Or, well, the Zodiac is just the 12 constellations. Those are the constellations. Uh, on the northern hemisphere? Yeah, I think that's the northern hemisphere. And she's alive again. And she has a great personality. Like, freeing mankind from the yoke of oppression. Yeah, freeing mankind from the yoke of the oppression of custodians. I think that's it. I think that's it. And I also inhale hopium that that's it, because I fucking love the design and the character of those alchemists, and I'd rather we not kill them by the end of the season. I'd rather they stick around. But who knows? Who knows? Adam is still alive. Now this is interesting. Finn certainly, yeah, left us no end of trouble. Our creation was by all means invincible. Yeah, we need to find out how the Symphogear works. We'll need time to analyze the inner workings. This is interesting. I don't know if her eyes always look like that. I don't think they do. Can I? Or maybe they do. I don't know, but this. Oh, yeah. This wide open eye. As he says that we don't need to understand that. We simply need to destroy that. That's like. What? What the fuck are you talking? What do you mean we don't need to understand that? And a quick brief understood. Some fractioning among the Bavarian Illuminati? Maybe? Adam being the true villain? Who's just using A3 for his goals? Or is it just an alchemist thing? Alchemists want to dissect and understand and recreate. And she suddenly hears from her master that we don't need to understand that? What do you mean? We're alchemists. Our whole shtick is understanding. Is that why she's shocked? And I wonder, is Adam really Adam? I'm I'm spiraling. I shouldn't be looking that deep into that, but A3 versus Adam after they, because differences. I wonder if that's gonna be the thing. Where Saint Germain, Cagliostro, and Prelati want to actually be like alchemists, and they want to understand, and they want to analyze, and they want to note it all down and do some good and proper science, and save the world with that. And Adam is just like No, destroy. We don't need to understand that. We only need to focus on our goal. Your goal being saving the world, my goal really being ruling the world. You're just my pawns. You don't need to understand, you just need to obey. I wonder if there's something along those lines going on. Yeah, I was wondering for a moment why did Maria not henshin, but I guess she doesn't have a linker. Although I thought you can fight without linker. You'd think that henshining without linker would be enough to at least like survive the fall. Maybe not. I don't know. Tsubasa's henshin. Oh, let's walk through it. Why not? Single plane instead of multiple planes. Hexagons because alchemy. In retrospect to the previous season, kind of a pity that they started with the henshins with hexagons right from the get-go, because hexagons are like symbol of alchemy, seem to be in Symphogear. So after their gears were tampered with by Elf9, then they should have gotten different henshin that's all based around hexagons. And the first henshins should have been like regular henshins back from season 2. I think that would have been better, but it's in retrospect to the previous season. Right now, they already have the power of alchemy with them, so hexagons everywhere makes sense. And again, it's hexagons unfolding magically into swords and gear and armor and everything. I love the amount of flair in the henshins in this season. Symphogear R01. Ameno Habakiri. The display on the bracer makes sense. Display on the swords? Why? The answer is to be extra, but you know what I mean. More hexagons. Although the inside is red. Interesting. Red usually symbolizes like bad, evil. But this is just the inner glow, I think, like the circuitry. Shoes. Thigh attachments with additional swords. Bladed Bluetooth headset. And some flailing around. Some cool shots. There we go. Ameno Habakiri. Tsubasa and Maria have escaped. Yeah. And she uses her ankle blades as wings. That's great. Or winglets to like keep her balance and direction. That's cool. The yeah, the briefcase changes size. I just noticed that. Small, big, 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 big. I guess she twists her wrist a little, but yeah, that doesn't work. It's just 2 frames though, no biggie. Diving directly towards water. 1000 tears. And just decelerating right above the surface. And yet Maria somehow survives. I always find it funny when a character is falling from like a I don't know skyscraper, and then a superhero catches them at the very bottom or shoots a web like Spider-Man or whatever, and just centimeters before hitting the ground, they're suddenly stopped and they survive. It's not the hit that kills you, it's the sudden deceleration. No matter by what means do you decelerate, that deceleration is what kills. So even if someone is stopped with like a mattress right before hitting the ground after falling from a skyscraper, that's still like, I don't know, 7 centimeters of a deceleration. Not quite enough to survive. The same here, like a couple meters above water, she suddenly stops and decelerates. That's gonna give you at least a concussion, but it's just anime. I mean, just anime. It's working by like fantastical rules, so whatever. Doesn't matter ultimately. This. Uh-huh. Puppet in Valverde. She is an autoscorer. During the Great War, in search of an energy source to replace fossil fuel. Indeed, Germans were very much into that stuff. Uh, is there like an article on Wikipedia or somewhere about that? That's how should I Google that? Mm, yeah, I guess Nazi occultism in Nazism. Yeah, there is an article on Wikipedia about that. There we go. Um, you can't find the window anymore. Great, thank you. Display capture, sure. Whatever, that works. Yeah, there was a lot of occultism in Nazism. Some like complete bullshit ones, like demonic possession of Hitler, but also New World Order, Aleister Crowley. I wonder if Aleister Crowley is gonna make an appearance, because that would kinda be sorta alchemist, occultist, maybe, maybe not. Crypto historic books, plenty of that. Expedition to Tibet of Ernst Schaffer, and many other things. Esoteric Nazism, Nazi UFOs like how Nebu. They were like going all around the place, finding different symbols and taking them for their own symbolism. That's where swastika comes from, right? It's a Buddhist symbol that they took over, I guess you could say, because you can't use it safely nowadays. And plenty of other things, like some of their prototypes, like Haunebu, for example, were had like runes written all around them, and they were all very much into the horoscopes and shit like that. It's completely and utterly crazy, but I'm glad we're referencing that in Germany, accumulating a number of relics. I like that. We have to analyze the classified documents from the government. Yeah. Illuminati are already in Japan. A plane crashed. Some plane crashed. What kind of a plane, though? With Valverde citizens. The plane that the ungrateful bitch and her brother were fleeing the country? I don't know, maybe. I know, but leave me be. Yeah, maybe not. I know you like to wallow, but that's usually not the best idea. There was nothing else I could do for Stefan, and if I were in the same situation, I'd do it again. And that's all you need to know, like, genuinely. Honestly, genuinely. Homework. Yeah, something tells me she's gonna have bigger worries than homework very, very soon. Like right now, perhaps, with a whole bunch of noise attacking. Another full henshin. Kind of odd that we're getting this many full henshins. Feels just ever so slightly like padding. I don't want to call it padding though. I don't want to accuse them of that. Maybe they're just really like the henshins and they want us to watch them. But it does feel ever so slightly like padding. Big boss Alkanoids that creates a pocket dimension. Pocket dimension that in its entirety uses the same mechanism that the noise uses to protect themselves from like physical fight, physical combat, physical damage. So they're getting out of phase with reality. The whole space is out of phase, ever so slightly. Although Symphogears are supposed to damage noise despite the difference in phase. So why aren't they? I don't know. It's just a bullshit reason to have us use Ignite modules, I have a feeling. Alkanosis phase shift has been fractalized here. I'm gonna take your word for it. I have no clue what you mean. I'm just gonna take your word for it. Ignite, Unsheath. I love the Ignite modules. I love the Ignite henshins. I think they're the same as in the previous season. They haven't changed. And with Ignite, we can finally fight the noise fully, but you have a limited time. And thankfully, Elf9 comes through as the brand new scientist of the group. Something I noticed, bit of a criticism of this episode. It's not the first time we're using sliding PNGs in this episode, where people are just completely stationary and at most their mouth moves, if that. I noticed there were plenty of like repeated shots when they shot down the plane, the alchemists. Who was it? Prelati and Cagliostro. When they shot down the plane, there were like two exact same scenes where the bimbo did the gesture of pumping her fist, and that was repeated again. Plenty of scenes where characters just stand motionless and maybe and only that happens. Just a slight criticism. I couldn't help but notice that. I don't know why. What did this episode get a different director or a different animator, or are they saving a little bit of time and budget for the next episode where shit's gonna hit the fan? I don't know. Just something of note. That sliding PNGs like here and stills were aplenty in this episode. Using sound waves, echolocation, triangulation, big boss Alkanoids, and this. I guess maybe that's where they were saving their budget for and their time. It's a big ass fucking sword with Chris rockets attached to it. A an aircraft catapult with Hibiki strapped to it. Trinity resonance. It's a fucking aircraft carrier. It's an aircraft carrier. I love their poses though. Or more precisely, I love Tsubasa's pose of holding her hands on the sword. I'm always a huge fan of this pose. You know, one day I want to buy myself a great sword just so I can take a photo doing this pose because it's amazing. I love it. Whenever I like, I don't know, clean up something with a broom, and the broom is at the perfect height after I'm done. I always do that, and it's just so satisfying. And of course, I adore Chris's pose when she's riding the rocket, just completely nonchalantly rides the rocket as if nothing was happening. We saw that in the previous season, we see it here, and I love it every single time. Yeah, the whole thing flies off, and it is a 3-stage rocket. Yeah, first it launches Hibiki as the door knocker. Hibiki knocks the door. The noise opens. Surprise sword. It reminds me of Kill la Kill. The aircraft carrier they were using that changed into a flying sword and pierced the live fiber mass. It's just Kill la Kill. We are reaching Kill la Kill levels, which makes me think they are gonna pull a trigger in the finale and we are gonna fight God. We already have aliens. I guess custodians can count as aliens. Or maybe we're just gonna get straight up fucking aliens. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But they're gonna pull a Gainax, a trigger, and we are gonna fight like galaxy-sized deity using galaxy-sized Gundams. With a drill that will pierce the heavens. Did I do something? No, I didn't. I was hoping I might get to see Adam. Adam doesn't want to see you though. Lose his number. Found out something cool. This is a great spot to pick a fight with God. I'm glad you found a great arena to fight with God, but why are we fighting God? And which one? It's just came completely out of left field, right? First, it's the aircraft carrier, but I'm like, okay, cool, they've shown us that they can kind of sort of do a combined transformation and all. That's just the logical next step, I guess. But now we're fighting God. Now we're just fighting God. Now we're just fighting God. That's what we're doing. That's where we're at. From saving humanity from noise to fighting motherfucking deities. Oh boy. Okay, let's turn that off. So the pumpkin can glow. And it's a little bit more moody, I guess. Oh boy. Usually, in a particular episode, there's only one drop, so to speak, right? It's either, oh, we are transforming in our combined Symphogears into a Gundam, right? Or, oh, we are fighting super powerful noise. Or, oh no, someone joined the enemy, right? In this case, we have the aircraft carrier. We have the noise that can create pocket dimensions. And we're gonna be fighting God. That's a lot. That's a lot. And the one thing that's constantly in my mind, that I'm constantly wondering is, where do you go from here? If we fight God in episode 4, what do we do in episode 12? Right? Where do you go from here? It's often, well, maybe not often nowadays, but especially back in the days, it used to be a big issue, to me at least, with JRPGs. where you would have like a mid-level boss 1/3 into the game be the ultimate god of ultimate ultimatory, the father of all creator of mankind, and you would fight them with a rusty iron sword +7 and you would win. And like, what's gonna be the finale? What's gonna be the final boss battle if we fight God like 7 hours into the game, right? And I'm kind of worried about that. I kind of am. I hope that I can trust them to the point where I don't have to worry about that, where I know and I trust them that they can pull through and they can do something cool with it. I want to trust them, but there is that shred of fear in the back of my head, wondering what are they gonna do? If they jump the shark now, what are they gonna jump next? And if they continue jumping the shark with every single episode, am I not gonna become desensitized to that? That's kind of an issue to me when it comes to like desensitization. Uh, I guess that's also there's also a benefit to that week off I took from Symphogear, that it allowed me to get back into the excitement phase. Because I found that issue with, for example, Arknight's storytelling. If you're familiar with Arknights, you know that it's Depression Olympics, and I eventually just get desensitized to that, to all that depression. Because if everybody dies, everybody's miserable, then I'm just gonna expect everybody to die and everybody to be miserable, and that's not gonna come off as a shock to me. I'm just gonna completely disassociate myself with that. So I hope they're not gonna do that, but for the excitement. Because if every single episode is super ultimately extra exciting and we're fighting gods, we're destroying galaxies, then eventually all that extra becomes the normal. You know what I mean? If every episode is fighting God, then it's the normal. Then no episode is fighting God, because at this point, gods are just regular pawns, are just regular monsters. Monster of the week, essentially. They just have God as their name, and that's it. Right? So I hope they're not gonna go there. I hope even that we're not gonna fight God in the next episode, that we know the place, but we're gonna leave that for like the finale. I also hope that it's just Tiki referring to that being as a god, and perhaps it's just a custodian, maybe. For all intents and purposes, custodians do seem like deities to humans, but they are, I guess you could call them Japanese gods. Because I noticed that in like JRPGs and manga and anime, God is just a very powerful creature, not in a sense where the Western Hemisphere might interpret a god where a god is, well, a god, all powerful, omniscient, omnipotent, and intangible to humanity, almost like an like a what you might call it, um, like an elder god, right? Something that's impossible to comprehend and whatnot. But in Japanese stories, gods are just like a very ripped dude that can cast a fireball, and he's a god of fire, right? So I'm thinking that might be this interpretation of a god. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Overall, very exciting, very hype episode. I'm glad to be back to Symphogear, and I might even watch the next one today or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I have the next 5 days off. If you're watching it on Patreon, if you're not, then I probably don't have any days off. But yeah, that was cool. That was cool. My only criticism being that some of the shots and some of the scenes were just stills or sliding PNGs. But I guess I'm willing to forgive that when because they pooled all that funding, I guess, and time and gave us the aircraft carrier. And I'm honestly fine with that trade, but it's still something that I had to notice. Also, we are setting up for a lot of depth. I don't know how much is me just completely reaching, how much is actually gonna come true, but there are those bits and bobs and pieces of information that make me believe that there's something more going on. That maybe Adam is not who he says he is, that maybe Alchemist Trio is gonna join forces with us, that maybe the custodians are the true enemies, maybe Adam is a custodian, you know? Those kinds of very non straightforward things that I think might be the case. I don't know that though. We're gonna have to watch the next episode to figure that out. And before that, you guys, you let me know down in the comments below what did you think of this episode, my reaction, my theories. No spoilers, please. I want to watch it myself, fully on my own. But maybe I missed something. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm talking completely out of my ass or something. So tell me about all that stuff in the comments. As long as it's not a spoiler, it's perfectly fine. If you do want to talk spoilers, Discord here, also in the description. Join it. There's a Symphogear channel. And you can talk everything Symphogear in there without fearing of me reading those spoilers. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only Symphogear, but also Gundam, Witch from Mercury, the Sword Isekai, the Alchemist, the Novice Alchemist anime, Madoka Magica movie that I'm gonna be watching sometime soon, and I'm also probably gonna watch Arknights. You will see. If it's already on my channel, then I'm watching Arknights. If it's not on my channel, I'm not watching it. And perhaps other series, and I also stream sometimes, so you might want to subscribe and click the bell for that. Support the channel if you want. Monetarily, Patreon Throne, links in the description below. On Patreon for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonals like Symphogear, like Madoka, like whatever comes after. And for just $1 you get a role on the Discord, and you also get a place in the credits. And on Throne you can pitch in directly towards my purchase of better camera, better lighting, stuff like that. Better camera, better lighting, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, sharing my content, spreading the word is always a great way to help the channel and help it grow. And with that out of the way, my nose is getting stuffy, so I'm gonna end it right here. That's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the list of Patreons, and you can be one of them if only such is your desire.